Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday, or I guess whatever day you're listening to this on. Just wanted to go over a few things regarding narcissism. I've just been feeling the urge to talk about it. It's a beautiful day here. A little windy, but beautiful. And I know I'm probably going over this again because I've talked about it. But when I learned about narcissism, I knew things were off for many years with certain individuals. But it took me being around a very controlling, narcissistic, I believe, sociopath for a long period of time to really understand something was off. So what I started doing was, when I would deal with this person, I started writing down things that they would say or what they would do, just so that I could go back to the journal and look at it and know that I wasn't crazy. And that's what the gaslighting is. So I found out what gaslighting was. And then from there, it was kind of like an avalanche of information. I don't even know at this point if I'm a huge fan of the word narcissist, because of course a lot of individuals are trying to steal that title away. But at the end of the day, it just really means an abusive, controlling, manipulative individual. And every narcissist is different. You cannot have a sociopath without narcissism. And obviously psychopath, which in no way am I an expert on psychopathy. But, we've seen a few very famous psychopaths, like, I would say, and I'm not a professional. I have a social work degree, a bachelor degree in social work, but I don't have, a psychotherapy degree or anything like that. I believe that Jeffrey Dahmer was a psychopath, just off the top of my head. And you can look at a lot of the, what do you call that? Serial killers, etc. Those kinds of things. Back to narcissism. So at the time, I was living in a studio apartment with my cat, a very nice little studio. And more than likely, I was in between jobs, or, it was always a challenge. But I had internet services, so I would use my phone, because at the time I didn't have a computer. And I would use my phone to do all this research on YouTube. And then I ordered some books from Amazon. For the life of me, I can't remember which ones those were. I could probably repurchase those books and then say, oh, yeah, I read this. But I was kind of on a mission. And again, I listened to Michelle Nieves. Highly recommend listening to her regarding more coercive, but the more vulnerable narcissist, which is not that they're not malignant, because a lot of them are, but they're just more low-key, and being around them is a total mind-f. Dr. Romani, of course. I love her. I love her information. Oh, what is his name? Ali Matthews. Whom else? Oh, golly gee. Michelle, she is a Caucasian lady who moved to Mexico. I can't think of what the name of her channel is right now. I liked a lot what she said. And of course, she had lived it. Anyways, so the first thing that I did was I started to I compiled a whole list of the tactics that they use. And honestly, some of the people that use these tactics, they might not even be a narcissist. They might not be, or they might be a narcissist on lower on the spectrum, so they're not like, super narcissistic. Or maybe there's someone who had a bad day and they're just using some type of manipulative behavior, and that's not their normal. It's true. So I came up with about 40 tactics, and then I stopped. I did a video on it on my old channel. And honestly, at this point, I think there's probably hundreds of narcissistic tactics. It's just, how you and I, we're walking down the street, we think a certain way. Narcissists are the same way, and they're each individual. So many manipulations, so little time, right? So many abuses, so little time. And again, the other key word I wanted to use was control. It's always about control. So if you see somebody screaming and hollering, they need to get attention, and they're doing very manipulative things. They're putting other people down, calling them names, minimizing who they are, minimizing their credentials, minimizing whatever it is they're picking on. Typical narcissist. Because in order for a narcissist to feel better about him or herself, he or she has to put other people down. They might even kick a dog. They have to put other individuals or animals down, whatever it is around them. So the whole entire theme of their lives is control. And honestly, I was exposed to a person who was very controlling. And this is when I had a lot of information. And someone who's very good at it, they will have you thinking they are like the coolest person ever, that they have your best interest at heart. And you'll be defending them and all this crazy stuff. But if you're able to get out of the situation or lean back and you're saying, wait, something's not right. Or you'll look back on it later and you're saying, all that person wanted was control. Control, control, control. So some of the tactics that are coming to my mind, like I said, minimization, pitting people against each other. They love this. They love this. They like to turn people against one individual. Or they might like to turn people against like a married couple, or turn people against an organization. I mean, we see it. I don't do politics, as you guys know, but you see it in politics all the time. Another tactic, speaking of politics, smear campaign. We've seen it in Hollywood. We know that's a huge controlling mechanism. Another tactic that they love to use. Let's see. I was going to use a Hollywood star name, but I'm not going to do it. Just because I want to use it as an example. And this is actually more about MK Ultra, but I don't want to get into MK right now. Making, running a story in the media about a star that they're having mental health issues, that's like one of the best and biggest ways that people use to discredit someone. And like I said, I'm not going to talk too much about MK Ultra, but a lot of that is, any type of mental health issue that like a superstar might talk about is because they've been so traumatized, so abused. Another tactic of a narcissist or narcissists is they like to deflect. they won't ever, 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 ever take responsibility. And I've talked about this before. I think about a high-level politician in Los Angeles right now. We all know who that is. Won't take responsibility. I mean, they would... I really think, and that's that narcissistic shame, I believe that they would rather die than to take responsibility. And so they will deflect. Oh, this did not happen because this person did this. Or they might just straight up lie. I didn't do that. This person did that. Or another deflection might be, I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about. What are you talking about? And they really do know what you're talking about. That's why I always say, like, when you're dealing with people like this, don't engage, man. Don't frickin' engage. And I've been in the enabler. I'm sure I've been an enabler at times. But anytime you're making up excuses for people, or you're defending them when they don't really deserve to be defended, that's also a sign to yourself that, like, hey, something's off. Not that you're necessarily a bad person. It's usually because you just don't understand what's going on. I'm sure I've been there. So again, and I guess it does kind of depend on if you're talking about a more malignant, and I mean, like, you know, out in the public eye, in your face, look at me, I'm so special, I'm so perfect, look at me, 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 as opposed to a vulnerable narcissist, which they're more low-key. And they use making people feel sorry for them, like the vulnerable, no, not vulnerable, but the, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a word I'm looking for. When they try to make people feel like they've done such good work, you know, like virtue signaling. Ain't nothing a narcissist better at than being a virtue signaler. Well, remember what I did for you? Remember how I helped you when your boyfriend kicked you out? They will never, ever, ever let you hear the end of it. Because you know why? Because now you owe them. You owe them. Which goes back to fear, obligation, guilt. So when you owe them, that's obligation. Fear is another one. I would say fear is used more by the more dangerous types of narcissists. You know, if, like, let's say you have an abusive husband, and he says, if you're not home by 3:30, you're getting an ass whooping. I mean, that's kind of like, that's something you can't deny, right? So you might not know that in the DSM-5 or 6, whatever it is now, that's technically a narcissistic trait. You just know that it's abusive. And shout out to the UK. They have now a law regarding coercive control. I think we should have it in America as well. I watched a very interesting documentary on this man. It was tragic how his wife had coercively controlled him. It was absolutely freaking heartbreaking. And they were able to prove it. He had a best friend that helped him. And because they had cameras in the house, you know, for security, etc., they were able to prove it. And I don't know, the poor man had been just bludgeoned down, you know, metaphorically and physically. So anyways, back to the tactics, put downs. I mean, these are kind of like easy things that come to my mind. Put downs. What was one that people used to do with me? Always try to make me feel stupid. Oh, you wouldn't understand. Or call me dumb red, dizzy red. I mean, it's really insulting when I look back on some of the people that would do that to me. And I was anything but. I'm not the smartest person in the whole world, but, I'm not slow or anything. But it's all like designed to make you feel lesser than, to make you feel not good about yourself. I personally feel if you're around a person where it's always drama, 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 now, not every single time, but I feel there's narcissism there. And it could be, because the person had been in a very abusive childhood or something. So there might be something different going on. But I can just say a lot of times it is narcissism. It's about getting the attention, which is narcissistic supply. Look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me, aren't I the greatest person? Aren't I the greatest protester? Or aren't I the greatest artist or whatever it is? It's look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. And you will never, ever be able to hold them accountable for anything, like zero, nada. I mean, I could just think of LAPD as an example, and I'm using a generic example. Look at how many crimes that Los Angeles police officers have committed, and they were not held accountable. That's true narcissism. That's narcissism on steroids. What other tactics? Excuse me. Again, like turning people against each other, which also is triangulation. Triangulation is used very much in romantic partnerships. It can also be used if you have a narcissistic father. He might turn the children, one boy against the other boy. Oh, why can't you be a football player like Junior, And then you've got the golden child, and then you've got the black sheep, etc. And they put their children in like some kind of a hen picking order to turn each other against each other. Triangulation does not live without gossip. So if you don't feed the gossip, triangulation won't exist. So the whole turning this person against this person, the controllers of the world use all this division all the time. And it's opposite in like true benevolent, magical, in a magical practice, like to do good for the world, do unto others as you have done unto you. The diabolical ones turn it, they invert it, and what they do is they turn people against each other. Just go to the news, you can see it. I don't even have to go into it deep here. But it's also done by narcissistic people. A more passive-aggressive person will do something like, let's say you're doing well at your job, and your boss gave you a project because they feel you're ready for this project, and it's kind of a step up for you, and it could lead to a promotion in the future. And because you didn't know any better, you told your coworker whom you thought was cool. The coworker's a narcissist. He's a passive-aggressive. And when you step away from your desk to go to a meeting or maybe go use the restroom, he goes onto your computer and erases your project, or something like that. They gotta mess you up and make you look bad and make you fail because they don't feel good about themselves inside. Narcissists, in my opinion, act a lot more possessive, and I think I imagine Dr. Ramani has talked about that. They feel that you are a possession of theirs, and they will act like it. So it's good for you to really keep a close eye on that. So, I mean, as far as tactics, say somebody's always saying, that's my friend. That's my friend. Like, you remember when you were a little kid and maybe you got a new toy And you're a little one, so you're going around bragging about your toy. Maybe you go to Uncle Bob and you say, Uncle Bob, look at the new truck I just got. That's how narcissists act with it could be their girlfriend, it could be their friends, it could be their cousins, it could be, an acquaintance. But it's like they're proud of this person because I'll use Kanye West as an example. And something with him is off. We all know that. Something's off. But he's treating his wife like she's a possession. That's obvious. So, I'm trying to think of some more. Tactics. Well, I think when it comes to a narcissist crafting their false narrative, there are many tactics, which are also narcissistic tactics, that are used to create this false image. We've seen it on Facebook where people are putting pictures or storylines on their page that don't really reflect how they truly live or who they truly are. It's really an easy way to describe it, whatever social media. What else? Another like a huge tactic of theirs is to play the victim. They've been going around causing all kinds of trouble, maybe reporting people for things or gossiping, spreading false narratives, defamation of character, smear campaign, things like that. The minute that they get called out on it, they start to cry. Oh, why is he doing this to me? They can't take responsibility and they never will. If you catch a narcissist in a lie, all they're going to do is lie 20 times more to justify the first lie. And they lie so much they can't even keep track themselves. And by that time, you're just confused. Gaslighting, I've already explained to people before where one narcissist I was dealing with kept saying to me, don't you know what day it is? And at the time I was in between jobs, so it really didn't matter if I knew the day or not, but I usually actually, when I look back, I did know the day, but this was just to throw me off and get me confused as to what was going on. So then I started to put a calendar in every room of my apartment. And that's what it is. It's meant to destabilize you, to confuse you, it actually creates cognitive dissonance. And you're like, in your heart, you're like, something's wrong. So another tactic, sleep deprivation. Nothing a narcissist loves more than to deprive you of sleep. They freaking get off on it. Cults use it. It all kind of goes together. Cults use it all day, every day. Mind control programs, sleep deprivation, all day, every day. Sound like the last 5 years, but what do I know? So it's easier to get you to give in to them when you're not getting any sleep. And they know it messes you up. It might mess you up at a good job that you have. It might just make you less able to fight back with them, which is really not worth it in the end. It might make you miss the job interview you were going to go to. It might make you not as good of a mom because you're exhausted and you want to spend time with kids, but you're so tired that you can't be there 100% for your children like you'd like to. Oh, yeah, let me talk about manipulating time. They love it. This is one of their favorite things to do. Let's say you're scheduled to meet with them on a Saturday morning to have breakfast, and they'll do it every time. They will cancel like 10 minutes before you're supposed to go to the breakfast. I had one narcissist doing this to me a lot. And then before I knew what narcissism was, I just knew it was a manipulation. And I would make sure that, I'd be dressed up, I'd be ready to go somewhere, and then I would just go somewhere else and enjoy my day. Because they did this so often. They love to make you late. They love to make you late. I had one narcissist years ago. I was attempting to move to a new area of Wisconsin. And so I was scheduling different job interviews. And this bitch blocked my car in. Guess who got out of it? Guess who got out of that tight fitting space? I did. Sure did. Guess who went to the interview? I did. But this is the kind of things they do. And a lot of people have said this too, it all stems from insecurity. They're deep inside, they're not secure about themselves at all. And yes, that comes from childhood. But at what point is there, at what point should they know better? You know what I mean? But they won't change because at a young age they learned these controlling, manipulative, abusive behaviors, and they don't want to stop it because it serves them well. And a lot of these folks, you'll see them just plowing through friends like nobody's business. Because if you get a person that starts figuring out what they're up to, then they're like, I'm out. And they will keep around them what you call flying monkeys. And in honesty, I've probably been a flying monkey myself before I understood what all this stuff was. And a lot of times flying monkeys are being manipulated as well. And sometimes flying monkeys can be narcissists too. But they have to have and even if you just go watch The Wizard of Oz and you see all those flying monkeys for the Wicked Witch, it's the same thing. The flying monkeys had to do what the witch told them to do. I don't know, but at a certain age, I was kind of done with all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Even before I knew what all these terms meant, you want me to do what? No, thank you. So you got to be your own person. That's the best way to be narcissist proof, is to be your own person and never apologize for who you are and just be true to yourself. And as I said before, that's when I started getting fired from jobs. When I started standing up for myself and not tolerating the abuse that these employers were dishing out to me. I would look at them like the F with you, you know what I mean? And everything worked out in the end. But I could probably make 100 videos just on narcissistic tactics alone. There's so many tactics. But ultimately, it's all stemming about them controlling you or controlling other people. And it's abusive. And if you become more familiar with abusive behaviors or basically ways to treat people, if a person doesn't know how to treat other people, then there's a problem. Excuse me, you guys. So that's going to be it for now. And I got some more Scientology stuff I'm going to do. Literally, Serge is on now. I'm going to catch the rest of his. And you all have an amazing day or night. Peace.